Welcome to everyone. Myself Shuchi Tripathi from Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur. The topic of my presentation is coverage analysis of cognitive MM-wave networks with directional sensing. I will start my presentation with a brief introduction to cognitive communication. In conventional cellular network, primary operators holds exclusive rights over a particular band of spectrum, due to which, apart from certain peak hours, a large portion of spectrum remains underutilized throughout the day. Cognitive communication allows opportunistic sharing of the spectrum between the primary and secondary operator, governed by some restriction such as availability of the band, priority to primary transmission, location of secondary devices, and threshold limit to secondary interference. At millimeter wave frequencies, the role of cognitive communication becomes more prominent due to the characteristic of MM-wave system, such as high blockage and propagation losses, use of high directive antennas, and lower interference level. Also, at these frequencies, spectrum sharing can be done without any type of coordination. In our paper, we have analyzed the cognitive MM-wave communication system by using tools of stochastic geometry. Here we have presented a brief survey on the topic. The very first stochastic geometry based analysis was done for the conventional wireless network in 2012, where author did not include the effect of antenna gains on the coverage performance. In 2016, importance of narrower beam in cognitive communication was studied, where author imposed a distance-based transmission restriction on the secondary transmitter. In 2018, a simulation-based study was done by two different authors to discuss the importance of the directional beam in the sensing of cognitive MM wave networks. Inspired by all these works, in our paper, we have considered a cognitive MM-wave communication system consisting of single primary and multiple secondary links. As shown in the first figure, the distance-based cognitive communication compels all secondary devices to remain inactive in the neighborhood of the primary devices, resulting poor secondary network performance. However, if we include the direction of secondary as well as primary link in our analysis, the probability of secondary transmission in the neighborhood of primary devices increases. This completes the motivation and problem statement of the analysis presented in our paper. Next, we are going to represent the system model. Here we have fixed the location of primary devices on the x-axis, while the secondary transmitter are distributed around the primary receiver according to the two-dimensional homogeneous Poisson point process phi s with density lambda s. For antenna gain and direction communication, we have considered the sectorized beam pattern model and the ideal beam pattern model with zero side lobe gain as shown in these two figures. Here, QJK represents the probability that a device fall within the main lobe of the antenna radiation pattern. Here, phi JK is the main lobe beam width of the antenna. For channel characterization, we have used Rayleigh fading model due to its simplicity. This figure contains all the fading coefficient which we are going to use in our analysis. For the cognitive model, we have chosen a primary transmission protection threshold rho and imposed a condition that the received signal power at the primary receiver due to ith secondary transmitter must be below this threshold rho. We have to represent this event by using indicator function ui. Now, uh, in order To characterize the state of a secondary transmitter, we have used the parameter medium access probability, which, as the name suggests, is the probability that a secondary transmitter can access the channel for the given threshold rho. The final expression for the medium access probability is given in equation 1. Here we can observe that the medium access probability of a secondary transmitter depends upon its distance from the primary receiver as well as its orientation with respect to the primary receiver. Therefore, it may be possible that for two different secondary transmitters, the medium access probability are different even when these two secondary transmitters are located at the same distance from the primary receiver. Now, next, we have simplified equation 1 for the ideal beam pattern approximation. As shown in equation 2, the medium access probability of the secondary transmitter depends upon the ratio of the primary transmission protection threshold rho and the secondary transmit power. Therefore, there will be no change in the medium access probability as long as this ratio is maintained. Next, in order to characterize the number of active secondary transmitter in a region, we have used the parameter activity factor, which is the ratio of the number of active secondary transmitter to the total number of secondary devices. The final expression of the activity factors is given by equation 3. Here once again we see that the ratio of primary transmission protection threshold rho and the secondary transmit power plays an important role in the activity factor of the secondary network. Next, we have simplified equation 3 for the sectorized beam pattern approximation, followed by ideal beam pattern approximation. As shown in equation 5, the activity factor of the secondary network also depends upon the probabilities QPR and QST, which are directly proportional to the mean lobe beam width of the primary receiver and secondary transmitter. Therefore, use of narrower beam widths for the communication can further improve the activity factor of the secondary network. Next, we are going to characterize the performance of primary link, for which we have defined the instantaneous signal to interference plus noise ratio at the primary receiver as shown in this expression. Here, numerator represents the received signal power at the primary receiver due to the primary transmitter under the perfect beam alignment condition, while the denominator represents the sum of thermal noise and the total interference at the primary receiver due to all active secondary transmitter. The expression for the total interference power is given by this equation. Now, to characterize the performance of primary link, we have used the parameter coverage probability, which is the complementary CDF of the instantaneous SINR for the given threshold tau. The final expression for the coverage probability of the primary link in the presence of secondary links with transmit restriction threshold rho is given in equation 6. Here we observe that the coverage probability depends upon these three ratios. From these three ratios, we can observe that if we increase the value of primary transmit protection threshold rho, noise power, sigma square, and the primary and secondary transmitter by 10 times, we need to decrease the value of SINR threshold by 10 times in order to get the same coverage probability. Next, we have simplified the equation 6 for the sectorized beam pattern approximation as shown in equation 7, followed by ideal beam pattern approximation as shown in equation 8. Next, we are going to represent the performance analysis of the secondary link. For this, we have considered a typical secondary link and shifted its location on the x-axis. Now, in order to characterize the performance of this typical secondary link, we need to redefine the medium access probability of the secondary transmitter as shown in equation 9. This expression of medium access probability differs from the previous expression of the medium access probability due to the inclusion of new variables such as yp, which is the new location of the primary receiver, and angle omega p, which is the orientation of the primary link with respect to the x-axis, and the angle beta si. Now we have defined the instantaneous SINR at the typical secondary receiver, which can be given by this expression. Here IP is the interference power due to the primary transmission, while IS is the total secondary interference power due to the rest of the active secondary transmitters at the typical secondary receiver. The expression of the primary and secondary interference power can be given by these two equations. Once again, we have used the parameter coverage probability to define the performance of the typical secondary link. The final expression for the coverage probability is given in equation 10. Here, this term is due to the thermal noise present in the system, while this term ensures that the typical secondary link follows the primary transmission protection threshold criteria. This term is due to the primary interference power, while this term is due to the total secondary interference power. Here, once again, this term ensures that all the considered secondary transmitters follows the primary transmission protection threshold criteria. With this, I will conclude the mathematical analysis presented in our paper. Next, we are going to validate our mathematical results via numerical simulation. This table contains all the parameters used for the numerical evaluation. In this figure, we have shown the location of all the secondary and primary devices inside a ball of radius 200 meters, while in this figure, we have shown the location of all active secondary transmitter and receiver pairs. In this figure, we have shown the improvement in the activity factor of the secondary devices with the distance between the primary and secondary devices. As we increase the radius of the simulation area, the distance between the primary and secondary devices increases, and hence the activity factor of the secondary network. Here we have shown the improvement of the activity factor with the higher value of primary transmission protection threshold rho. In this figure, we have shown the improvement in the activity factor of secondary network with the lower value of secondary transmit power PS. Now, here we have shown the improvement in the primary coverage probability due to the use of narrower beam widths, followed by smaller values of the primary transmission protection threshold rho. Similarly, we have shown the improvement in the secondary coverage performance due to the narrower beam width, followed by the higher value of primary transmission protection threshold rho. In this slide, we have compared all the previous four results. Now, as we can see that the use of narrower beam widths can improve the secondary coverage performance to a certain extent only. However, a careful selection of the primary transmission protection threshold rho can improve the performance of the primary as well as secondary network, as well as the secondary network. Therefore, a careful selection of the parameter rho is necessary for the better system performance of the cognitive MM-wave networks. With this, I conclude my presentation. The key takeaway points from this presentation are the importance of directionality in the cognitive MM-wave networks, followed by the roles of primary transmission protection threshold in better primary as well as secondary network performance. Also, our mathematical expression, which although complex, but helps to predefine the value of system parameters that ensures better network performance. With this, I conclude my presentation. Thanks for listening.